Hey everybody, my name is Scott. I'd like to welcome you out to my channel of how I do what I do. Today I'm working on the motorhome, and actually what I'm working on is the air conditioner inside. It's about 90 to 95 here in Arizona, and the air conditioner is not working, and we're in the middle of a renovation that we want to have done in the next 30 days. So we had somebody come out, look at the air conditioner. They gave us a price, and it was like $700 to $1,000, and I'm like, it should be just a run cap, or it should be an electric motor. So anyways, after the guy left, I was like, I'm going to take a look myself. So I'm going to show you guys some of the progress inside the motorhome, as well as what I've got to do to fix this air conditioner. Come along with me and I'll show you how to do what I do. Stay tuned. This will be easy, and I'm sure you guys can follow along. Okay, let's go inside and I'll show you guys some of the progress. We've got some of the wooden floor done, not all of it. Last time you guys were in here, there was a lazy boy there, there was a dinette there, there was a couch there. As you can see, we have tore all that out. We have ripped the wood all the way around. We have repainted everything all the way around. You are just seeing a little bit of it. We've had to stop some of it. We've done upgrades on the cabinets, top and bottom, and we put in new handles. Changed a couple things, colors mostly. The bathroom might be pretty well done. Yeah, we're getting there. Some of the hardware is in there and doorknob. But anyways, what we're working on today is the air conditioner. So when I turn it on, nothing seems to be coming. Yeah, when I hit the nothing. I can hear something humming up on top. Yeah, as I switch from low fan to high cool, yeah, nothing. So anyways, I think we're gonna have to go back up on the roof and see if we can figure it out. I've already been up there once and looked at what I had to do, but I figured I'd come inside and show you guys. Yeah, I just hear a humming sound. So I'm gonna go ahead and shut it off, and let's go up top and see what we got to work with. Well, let's go ahead and crawl to the top of the motorhome, and then we'll see if we can figure out what's going on. So that's the unit that is giving me all the trouble. I got one air conditioning unit here, and I've got another one up in front. After I figure out what's wrong with this one, then I might go ahead and do some maintenance on that one. So I'm gonna have to grab my tool bag. I'm just gonna need an assortment of tools, and I'll show you the tools that I'm using for this job, and I'll show you how I go about fixing it. This is my first time working on an air conditioner like this, but it can't be that hard. So I'm gonna go grab my tools and we'll get on with this video. Okay, before I get too far into this video, I figured I'll show you all the tools I'm gonna need to complete this task. As always, you're gonna need a tester. And this is a handy dandy little item. This is a capacitor tester. Not everybody's gonna have one, but I tend to work on a lot of electric motors, so definitely need one of these if you're gonna do that all the time. Need a drill. I always use a DeWalt. I just think DeWalt's the best, in my opinion. Get yourself a paintbrush. You can clean off your area and get rid of all the dust and debris real easy. A nut driver. You can get an assortment of 7 different nut drivers. I'm only using the 3/8 today. You're going to need a Phillips screwdriver, a standard screwdriver, a set of crimpers. You're going to need a set of wire strippers, needle nose pliers, and wire cutters. You're also going to need, for supplies, because you might have to cut some wire, is some butt connectors, both male and female, and you might need some zip ties. Now that's provided it's just something stupid on this air conditioner. If I have to replace like a capacitor, or I've got to replace the electric motor or get deeper into it, you might need more tools and you might need more supplies. I'm thinking that this is going to be pretty easy. Okay, after showing you guys the tools, I'll show you the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to take this off, and there's another Phillips screw right there. That should take this safety screen off, and it should take the white cover off all the way around. So we'll do that first, and then we'll see what it looks like inside. Now that we've taken the shroud off and we've put it over there, we got to get this out of the way, because there's 2 screws that hold this right here on this side and on that side. And you got one down here, then you've got one, if you look right behind here, it sits right behind here, and then there's one right there. So I'm just going to show you how to do one side because they're both the same. okay? Now with this, because I'm working around this coil, I usually will not use a cordless screwdriver because I don't want to slip. So I just take my time with this. And it's pretty simple. There should be 3 on each side. So you take that one out, stick it right there, and then gently lift this up, put that right there, just like so. And then you'll take this one out. Set that right there. And we'll take this one out. And you'll do the same thing on the other side. There'll be one here and one there, and then you'll have the piece that holds right here on the other side. So once you got that off, then you'll go ahead and you'll set this back down in place. You go do the one on the other side, and then you take out, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's one right there. You take out those 8, and then you can pull this up. Prior to doing that, you're going to want to take this fan off, and I'll show you how to do that next. Okay, to take off this, it's pretty simple. Use a common screwdriver. Screw it. Once you got that off, there's the washer. And you just gently grab this, and it'll come right off in one piece. There is no adjustment on this. It just sits down on a little C-clip that's right there. Here, I'll give you a little closer. It just sits on that little C-clip right there, and that's actually what holds it. Okay? So, next you'll go ahead and take out these 8 screws all the way around, and you'll pull this whole piece up. Okay, and then you just lift the fan off, like so. Seems to spin pretty easy. Okay, now that you've got the fan off, you got to take off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 screws. And then the shroud and the motor come out. Now, once you have the fan motor off, you've got all the screws disconnected from this, you've taken off all 8 of those, I would suggest taking off, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screws, and pulling this off, and then either cutting or disconnecting these wires so that when you pull this off, it all comes off in one unit. It's just kind of an idea, okay? Pretty simple. There's a total of 6 sheet metal screws on this side. Now, once we got this off, here's the schematic that I was speaking of. And usually they'll put schematics in certain spots so that you can find them and they stay out of the elements. So I'm not sure who the manufacturer is of this air conditioner, but thumbs up. That's cool that they put it underneath, and that way it's out of the elements. So let's go ahead and find out what's wrong with this thing. Now I'm just going to go ahead and cut the wires. So what I can do when I go to, after I have the motor checked out, I'll go ahead and I'll put butt connectors back on there. And then it's pretty simple. It's white to white, black, red to red, and black to black. Pretty simple. Now that you've removed the housing from the unit, and I've got it sitting in my lap, this is your squirrel cage that goes around in a circle. And I forgot, you're going to also need a Allen wrench to take this bolt loose to pull this out. Now you're not going to want to break this, because if you break this, these are very pricey. Okay, so what you're going to do is, oh, it's not very tight at all. Okay, and then just kind of loosen it, kind of wiggle it back. There it goes. Okay, and we'll go ahead and set that aside. And then you're going to go ahead and take these 4 nuts off right here. Pretty simple. You're just going to need a nut driver. Just take them off. Oh, I'm bleeding. It's the only thing about working on duct work or any kind of air conditioning work. For some reason, you always cut yourself. And this stuff is so primitive and so crude, I don't doubt that you won't. Once I get this motor out, then we'll send this in, and it'll probably take a couple hours. I got some good guys that work on this stuff. They'll probably get it back to me in half hour to an hour, I'll go get something to eat at McDonald's or wherever and come back and they'll have it done for me and tell me what's going on. Okay, like that, and then you just slide that off. And that's all there is to it. So I'll go ahead and have this checked out, and I'll be back in shortly. Now that I have the electric motor out of the air conditioner, which it's sitting over there, and I'm going to take that in to get it fixed, it's now time to clean up this area. And I've got, like, this looks like a hornet's nest, wasp nest. I'm not really sure what this is called. I've got one right here. So great time to go around, and I'm going to clean all this out and blow it all out with my blower. Kind of show you what I'm doing. Just try to get all this crap that's down here. Try to get it all so that it's not in there tight, so that when I use the blower, it just all comes out. Go over this side a little bit. That looks pretty good. So what I'm going to do first, I'm just going to grab everything by hand that I can grab that's big and just throw it inside this plastic bag that I have. I'll use a paintbrush to get all the stuff that's tight, and then I'll use my blower at the end. Now, for those of you looking for a good blower, the DeWalt blower with the 20 volt cordless blower is probably one of the best blowers I use. I know I endorse DeWalt products all the time. The reason why is they're good and they never leave me with a dead battery. They never leave me with an unfinished job. Now that I have the entire area clean, I also went and this is where the squirrel cage sits that blows the air down into your RV. I would definitely recommend, like I just took my paintbrush and just kind of blew that out, and then just kind of cleaned. I cleaned all the way around here, make sure I got good airflow and stuff. This is the time to do your maintenance before you put it all back together. So, and just check things. You know, make sure that you got everything you need to put your air conditioner back together. So just trying to show you how I'm doing it. Okay, I hope this video is helping everybody. Okay, now that I have this motor out of the unit, I'm going to take it in and have it checked out and see if I can figure out what's wrong with the motor or if it is the capacitor. Well, I got the electric motor back from the motor place, and they said there's absolutely nothing wrong with this motor. It spins freely, everything works fine. I mean, you know, it doesn't make any noise. All the bearings were good. So he suggested that I test out a couple more things and gave me some ideas, and I believe it's the capacitor. So let's check that out now. Okay, behind this box, like I showed you before, is where the capacitor sits. Capacitor is this unit down here. It's usually round, oblong, something like that. So we're gonna go ahead and pull this out. You're gonna need a Phillips right there. So with our Phillips, unscrew it. You just need to unscrew it a little bit. Might have, yeah, I'll just go ahead and take it all the way out. Get the capacitor to slide out of there. Ah, yeah, there it comes. So that's your capacitor. So somewhere on the capacitor it'll have some numbers, and that'll tell you what the reading should be. So let's see, not seeing it. Give me a second, I'm gonna have to get my other glasses so I can read what the reading should be on this one. Okay, so this is what they call a capacitor tester. And basically what you do is, these are magnetized on each end. And you stick these on the capacitor, you push the button, and it either says open, like that, and flashes open, which means that it's junk, or it tells you what the capacitor reading is. So I'll show you how this works here right now. Okay, this run cap or capacitor or whatever you want to call it should be somewhere around 7.5. Could be a little bit less, could be a little bit more, but you need to be right around 7.5 for this particular air conditioning unit. Now, when you're working with a capacitor tester, it's really simple. Now, I cut the wires off because I was going to put new connections on it anyway. But if you look at the capacitor, you got two places on this side. You got this divider in the middle, and then you got two spots on this side. So as long as you put one connector here and one connector there, and then you hit the little button, it'll tell you what's going on. And these are magnetized, like I said. So you put one to one side, really simple. And you take the other one, put it on the other side. See how I did that? They're just magnetized. You come over here and you're going to push the button. 4.9, that is not enough. Push it again. Okay, so what's causing my problem is this capacitor or this run start. That is what's causing the problem. Sometimes it'll say open, sometimes it'll just tell you a bunch of different things. Yeah, this is a piece of junk. Now these are sometimes referred to as capacitors, as run caps, as run starts, and what it does, from my understanding, it's what gets the motor up and running. It kind of gives it that like jolt to get it going, that kickstart. And that's my understanding. I could be wrong. If somebody knows more about capacitors, please put something down in the description for the rest of us. That's how we learn. But I know that if the capacitor does not show on this and it's too low, it will not run your motor, or your motor will have a hard time starting. And I'm going to go get another capacitor from my entourage of supplies, and I'll show you what I do next. Well, inside of here I found some more of that, I think it's a hornet's nest or a wasp's nest or something. If anybody knows, put a description down in the corner. This motorhome, when I bought it, came out of Florida somewhere, so I believe it was on the East Coast, and now it's in Arizona. So what a culture shock for this thing. Okay, now just in case any of you viewers are wondering, how did I know it was this run cap and not this one or not this one? It's really simple. I had 5 wires coming out of the compressor motor. I had the white, the red, and I had the black. So that's for that's to turn the motor on, and then high speed and low speed. The other 2 brown ones, I already went and put a butt connectors back on these, but I actually cut the wires right here and right here. So I just went and cut them. So anyways, that's how I know that this is the problem, because this run cap is connected to this electric motor. These 2 caps do something else to do with probably this compressor over here or something else, which sometimes I understand all this, sometimes I don't. Also, when I went over to this right here, which is the wiring schematic, I was able to read it and just figure out, okay, here's, you got the COM, which is the white, and then you got the low is red and the high is black, and then you got fan capacitor. So I just had to go find the brown and the brown white and figure out which one was which. And like I said, it doesn't matter on which wire these go to. And then you've got the run capacitor over here, and then you've got the start capacitor over here. So it's not hard to start following all this, and just read it, take your time. I didn't learn this overnight. I just kept playing with things and kept asking questions until I started figuring things out over the last 45 years of doing stuff like this. So you guys are getting my knowledge of 45 years of troubleshooting, and I'm showing you how to do it. The only tool that might cost a little bit of bucks is something like this. These are a little pricey. I think I paid $100 for this one years ago. But it's well worth it, because when you're in the field trying to fix something, or you're on a trip, I always have this in my bag, because a lot of times that's all it is a $7 part that's causing your electric motor not to work, or your air conditioner, or something else. So, all right, let's go ahead and put this back together. Well, let's go ahead and put the motor back in this shroud and start getting that put back together. Now, after you've got the motor set back in the shroud, make sure you put these little plastic pieces over each one of these. It's kind of like a vibration dampener, and there's 4 of them on all 4 of them. And then you take your nuts and you put your nuts back on, and make sure you don't cross thread anything. Always thread things on a couple turns by hand. Even lug nuts on a car. Always thread these on just a couple threads. That way you make sure you don't cross thread it. Just do that with your fingers. Take your nut driver. That's pretty much all there is to it. This is not hard to do. This just takes time. This whole job will probably take me 2 hours to do, and probably save me, I think my wife said the AC guy wanted $600 to $800 to fix it, if it's what he thought it was. So she kind of listened to what he said and made a whole bunch of notes. After that, I came in and said, no problem, I'll try to fix it. Okay, that's what it looks like. You just put all those bolts on, or all those nuts on. Okay, this is a tough one. Very, very, very important. I'm going to show you this first. If you look at this, it's got right here, you got the gap where it goes around and it comes back. So you got a gap right here. But if you look right here, right where the tip of my fingernail is, there's a little piece that's kind of like pushed through that hole right there, that when it's being fabricated, it pushes that piece out. Okay? That is very important. When you go to put it in there, there's a piece that hangs out over here on this side, and then there's a gap right here. That piece needs to slide through that gap, otherwise you are going to break this. Very important. So when you're putting it in there, you got this little gap right here at the top. Make sure that's going away from you. So I'm actually sitting Indian style on the roof. Here's that little piece right here off on the side. That's going to go in, it's going to go right in between this clip right here, and then you can barely see the little piece right there. Okay, you need to take your time with this or you're going to break it. Okay, kind of get it lined up and then gently push it down. Okay, do not break it. If you break it, you are going to say all kinds of colorful words, because it's got to get past that lip. Just like so. That's all there is to it. If you break this right here, one, you might have a hard time finding it, especially if you're out in the field, you're on vacation or whatever. Two, they're about 75 to 150 bucks. Yeah, I know that's a big range in price, but I've seen these go for $75 to $100 on other applications. So take your time with this. Now, when you've pushed this in, make sure that this hose clamp piece is all the way down against this. You don't want it up on the edge. As you can see, I broke a little plastic piece right here. So make sure it's all the way down. As you're looking at the shaft is round except for this flat spot right here. In the bottom of this, it is not exactly round. It's got that flat spot. So what you're going to want to do is find that and gently slide it in there. Do not use any kind of lube. Do not use anything. No WD-40, no nothing. The reason why is it will allow this to slide off even though it's tight. So it's just not recommended. So let's go ahead and we'll slide that on. I'm going to take it like that. Make sure it's lined up, and it's pretty gentle. You just, see? And it just goes right down on it. Make sure it's all the way down, and then we'll go ahead and tighten this up with an Allen wrench. Okay, I forgot to mention one thing. When you're putting the shroud on, make sure you leave enough gap here, because this shroud will go to where this piece right here will hit the insulation, and it won't spin freely. And as you can see, it's not exactly perfect. So you definitely do not want it hitting this. Otherwise, you're taking it all apart just to move that a little bit. There, nice and tight. That's all there is to it. Now let's go ahead and put this back on. Now that we got the motor back in place, we got the shroud back in place, we're going to go ahead and set it on here. And then at the end, we'll go ahead and we'll seal it up with what's called air conditioning tape. It's like an aluminum foil tape. We'll tape all the way around it and make sure everything's sealed up. All right, next we'll go ahead and put the motor back in. And it's pretty simple. It just slides right back into place. Nothing hard about it. Just like so. Once you got your fan and shroud in place, spin your shaft around. Make sure that the fan on the inside is not hitting anything. And then you can go ahead and put in all 8 of the sheet metal screws. So now I'm going to go ahead and show you how you do butt connectors. Basically with butt connectors you have 2 pieces. You have a male side and you have a female side. The male side slides inside of the female side and then it makes the connection. And then it has this plastic casing around it that keeps it from touching anything. Now when you're doing these, you've got this plastic piece from here to here. There's nothing there, but if you look in between my thumbs, that's where the steel connection is. So what you're going to do is you're going to strip back your wires, you're going to slide it in there and to where you barely see the wire come out of the connection. Now this connection wraps around and you can actually see the little crack in there. So when you're doing it, you're going to use a set of crimpers like this. The crimpers like this are the ones that I like, and they have this little spot right here for a smaller one and this little spot for a bigger one. So when you're putting them in, the crimping spot, you always make sure that where they come around and fold, they always go toward this part right here. I might do another short video at the end of this video to show you what I'm talking about. But anyways, we're going to go ahead and we'll crimp these and I'll show you. And I'll kind of do a little detailed video at the end. So this is pretty easy. Use a set of wire strippers. You pick out the gauge wire for the size wire, and I always go a little bit big because I don't want to touch any part of the copper wire. And just take a little bit off, not a whole lot, just enough to give it a bite. Just like so. Strip these back just a little bit more, not much. Now, it does not matter which, if you put, you know, the female end here or the male end here, it absolutely does not make a difference. The only thing that makes a difference is that on this end you put a female end, and on the other end where the electric motor is you put a male end, and vice versa, so that you have the connection, white to white, black to black, red to red. And then I always spin the wire clockwise. It's just something I do. Okay, really simple. Take the wire, and if you look really closely, you can actually see, if you look, I'm gonna move this a little closer for you guys. You can actually see right at the end where the copper wire came through. That's what you want. Okay, once the copper wire comes through, if you look, you can spin it, you can actually see where the crack is, where it wrapped around. I want the crack at the bottom. It's just something that I do. Now I'm working with the male end. You're going to take it, you're going to stick it inside here, and you can kind of see what I'm doing. Okay, you stick it inside and then squeeze. What it does, it puts a little pinch right here, and this is probably one of the best connections you can have. There's no way this is going anywhere. So I've got the male end here, so we're going to do male ends on all of them. We're going to do the same one on every one of them. Here again, take this, stick it inside of there, hold it, make sure I got the crack in the right spot. Yep, right there. Come around to here, squeeze. Last one, where's the other male connection? Right here. Just like so. Oh, spin that one. Done. So now I got all my connections done here. Well, now that I have the motor in place, it's time to do these connections. So the guy that did my motor was really cool. He noticed that I had cut the brown wires, and he went and stuck 2 connectors on there, probably because he had to test the run cap. So let's go ahead and strip back these, and we'll go ahead and we'll connect up these wires, and I'll show you how we go about doing that. As you can tell, this ain't hard, guys. I hope that you guys are learning something from this. I know I'm not the most entertaining YouTuber out there. I'm just here to help you guys get it done, to show you how I do what I do almost every day of my life. And it's a pretty exciting life, as you can tell. It's funny, I got all the guys around me in all the other buildings and factories. Oh, yeah, gotta spin that. That are watching what I'm doing up on top, and they're like, "What are you doing?" And they're like, "Shh, he's doing a YouTube video." So I think it's kind of funny. Usually they see me working on hot tubs. They don't see me up on a roof working on air conditioners, filming. Okay, last one. And like I said, there's the split. Spin it over. You always want this at the top. You don't want that to push into the split. Okay, it's done. And it's pretty simple. You go black to black. Just like so. And that way, if I ever have to take these apart again, I don't have to cut the wires. Or any other person, they won't have to cut the wires. Well, that one's stiff. Ah, there it goes. Just like so. Then red to red. And that's pretty much all you got to do with those. And then I'll put a couple zip ties and I'll tie everything down so it doesn't get in anybody's way. Got the brown ones, have to go over to the capacitor, so we'll go ahead and install the capacitor next. Okay, let's go ahead and install the capacitor now. It's pretty simple, it just slides underneath like so. Just like that. Nothing fancy. And then you take your Phillips and you just tighten it up so that everything stays in place. Pretty simple. Just like so. Got to take your wires, got to run your wires through, just like so. And then you hook up one wire up here, like that, and then the other one can go right here. And it doesn't matter which one they go on. That's all there is to it. Now, when you're putting this cover back on here, and you're putting this shroud back on, you're going to want to note that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sheet metal screws here, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 over here. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Why am I noting this, you ask? If you put this one next to this one, they're different lengths. This one over here is shorter like these. These are a little bit longer. So there could be something on the other side of this panel that if you put the longer sheet metal screw into, you could hit a wire, or you could hit a copper line like this, or you could hit something that's on the other side of this. Consequently, the same thing, you might need the longer ones up here so that it screws in tighter. So just make sure you note that when you take things apart, where the screws go. Okay, it's just something that I'm anal retentive about. Can't help it. So we'll go ahead and put this cover back on, and it's not too hard. That's all you do, is just line them up. It doesn't take that long at all. Okay. And if you got a DeWalt, it goes even faster. Where'd my bit go? Okay. done. Now that we got the fan motor and the shroud back in place, let's go ahead and put in all the screws. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and there's one down here, 8. Okay, my recommendation is to always pre-start this with a screwdriver. And the reason why I say that is because you're working around the coil. If you slip with your cordless and you go through the coil, guess what? You're buying a coil, and it's just not worth it for the extra time savings. So my recommendation is to always use a hand screwdriver and do it that way. It takes a couple seconds longer, but that way I know that I'm not going to go through my coil. I definitely don't want to be buying a coil, especially because I'll bet you right now I'm not going to be able to find one. Okay, once you got those in, just tighten them down. And I recommend just doing one at a time and don't tighten them all the way down. And the reason why is you got to get this thing to fit. Okay, there, now we got that. Got that, got 2 down here. Now this one right here has this on it. This one over here has the wires, and it's got an extra like rubber piece on it. And that kind of keeps the wires in place. Not sure if it's needed, but it has it. So let's go ahead and put this one in there. And we're done. Now that we have all 8 screws put in, we got the fan and the motor put in underneath, let's go ahead and put on the outside shroud. And it's pretty simple, just like the other one. It's round and it's got a flat spot. Same thing with the back side of the shaft. It's got a flat spot right here. You're gonna go ahead, I always put the flat spot toward me, put it flat. If you look at the bottom of this washer, it's got the flat spot with the round, so it's got an indent right here. Make sure you line that up. Then you just got a little screw to put on. Just like so. Voila! So let's go down inside and we're gonna flip it on and see if it works. All right, well, now I'm down off the roof. Let's go inside. So, yeah, it's still a mess in here. It's been so hot here in Arizona that it's just too muggy to work inside here. So let's go ahead and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Right on, I can hear it. Okay, that is what they call low fan. That's high fan. That's low cool and high cool. So, it is a complete success. I am so thrilled. Yeah, I can feel the cold air. This feels awesome. I can't believe I was quoted that kind of money to fix this, and it cost me, I think, $8 for the part and about 2 hours to fix it, and actually a little bit longer than that because I was doing a video. So let's go back up on the roof and we'll finish this out. I cannot tell you guys how excited I am knowing that this air conditioner now works, and all the horror stories I was hearing about how much it was going to cost me actually didn't happen. I'm glad that I had a little bit of the know-how through just common knowledge of what I've done over the past, as well as I did watch a couple other YouTube videos, but they didn't give a lot of details. That's why I figured I would do this video today. So with that, I'm going to go back up on the roof and I'm going to complete the install, seal up everything, and call it a day. Well, now that we know it works, let's go back up on top. This kind of sucks. At least it comes with a nice ladder to jump up on. But it is starting to get kind of hot working up here. So now the only thing we got to do is put the shroud on and a couple other things. So let's get to work. Okay, you're kind of going to do the same process that you used when we took it apart. You got these two screws that are going to, on the other side of this, we'll have to lift this up just like we did to take it apart. And then you got this screw that goes right here. Now, if you look, these are two different ones. One's got a sharp on it, the other one's flat, and then this one's flat. That tells you that these two go over here. Now, just like when we took it apart, you got to be really careful with this because we have to lift it up a little bit. And then one goes here, one goes there. This isn't hard. It's just gonna be really careful because you don't want to break anything. Doing it with one hand kind of sucks too. Oh, there it is. Like that. And take your last sheet metal screw, and it just goes right in there. It just kind of holds it in place. And I'm going to pull it in a little bit, just like so. Just like the other side, you got the two flat screws at the tip and one sharp one. Now this one's going to be a little bit easier because this one I can set up there. It makes it a little easier. The other one, because the lines are on that side, makes it a little tighter and a little tougher to do. Okay, that's in there. That's in there. Done. And gently grab that, and then you put this right down here, just like you did on the other side, and we'll tighten that down. Now that I've verified that the air conditioner works, I'm going to go ahead and seal up all the areas. So basically any place where one piece meets the other piece, you have a crack like this, a seam, you need to put tape on it. And there's a special type of sealant tape that you use for air conditioners, and I'll show you what you do. But I need to put a piece down here in this corner. I need to put a piece over each one of the screws. I need to put a piece over the corners. Any place where the sheet metal meets all the way around to make sure that I seal it. After all, I don't want to waste any kind of energy. Okay, after doing a little bit of research, this is what I found is the product to use. This is for HVAC systems, including Class 1 flexible duct. It's a cleaner alternative, blah, blah, blah. It cost me about 20 bucks. So I'm not going to use that much, but I'll throw it in my entourage of parts and materials, and I'll use it on another day, whatever I don't use. So what this is, it's a two-part foil tape. This is the top side, this is the bottom. You got to pull the blue foil off and then you put it in place. So it's not hard to work with, but that's how you do it. And it is extremely sticky. So you put it in place where you're going to put it, where you want it. Get it all nice and sealed down. This stuff is supposed to be unbelievable. And just wrap the corners. Okay, we're getting down to the final countdown. I put tape here, put it right here, and just kind of do a decent job. I put it right here in this crack. I put it right there where that, right here. I put it all the way around that corner, right here. So I went all the way around and I sealed up everything. I want this thing to rock and roll for me. So next I'm gonna put on the cover, and there's one screw here, one there, and that's just about it. Okay, when you're putting on the cover, you wanna make sure you get it all the way below this right here. That way, when the rain hits it, it'll go down and underneath. It doesn't get caught up in here. Also, I usually start from the back and then I pull it forward just to keep it away from the coils. So it might not be the way to do it, but that's the way I'm doing it because I don't want to tear my coils. So get it all the way down to the bottom and let it slide. Now you just got to make sure that you get the plastic down on the bottom all the way around. Now once you have the cover in place, you do have to pull it all the way to the front, push it down because there's two clips on each side in the front. Once you got that, then you go to the back and you pull it, and then it goes down over it. Okay, and as you can see, this lines up real easy. Well, it's all put back together, and it's probably done better than it was from the factory. I got put on the last screw there, one there, and then the one up front, and then I just made sure they're all tightened down. I'll probably go ahead and take this air conditioner apart next week, and I'll do all the maintenance on it.